Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Council on Future Conflict. My name is Scott, proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today we got episode 605, Immigration Incidentals and China Big Mad. Because Joe, if you're ever in need of a topic to talk about in the world of future conflict, China is the go-to answer. It's the only country that really threatens us as an existential threat to the United States. But it also it's like they are the big bad enemy, but at the same time, it's like 50% doomer when it comes to China, 50% Gordon Chang. Like they can't get off their own fucking, they keep stepping on their own, toes about everything they do. The interesting one for me, and I know that this was probably going on 2 years ago. We had this discussion. I think I was in Turkey when we were like, you guys were talking about how, hey, yeah, the Chinese are what are driving this whole Myanmar thing, right? And like for me, I'm like, I don't see how it's good for China. The Myanmar thing is how it's good for China, because ultimately China wants to use Myanmar as a way around the Straits of Malacca, to be able to put a port in there, that allows them to completely skirt Indochina. And yet this thing still keeps simmering, right? So China is absolutely involved there. There's no doubt, just like they're absolutely involved with Cambodia. But, Joe, do you feel like China knows what it's doing?
Actually, I do. I think that there's a lot more going on in China. They have a lot more well-planned and well-thought-out things than we give them credit for. We want to be Gordon Chang. We want them to be the Keystone Cops, but unfortunately, that's just not true. So,
well, yeah, the irony is that from my analysis, right, is usually a little from column A, a little from column B, right? Because you can say yes, are they great? But are they really a threat? Absolutely, they're really a threat. That's the problem with Gordon Chang, is he does not see them for the threat that they are. It's like, okay, they could be total, I don't know, morons or whatever, not smart individuals doing things that don't make sense to us in the West. That doesn't mean they can't set the world on fire.
Quantity has a quality all of its own.
Exactly.
China invented the human wave attack in Korea, and there's a lot to be said for it. It's kind of hard to defend, no matter how cool your tools are or how great your operators are. If 15,000 of them are coming at your 200 guys, you have a problem. So
yeah, no, absolutely. So we're going to get into that later today, and then also we're talking some immigration kind of stuff, not like one single immigration thing like Australia specifically, like we've got here, but just how specifically Islamic immigration is really impacting countries, and so we're going to be hitting that from a couple different angles today. You know, Joe, I am the person who rolls their eyes the hardest at the whole Maori kind of like, haka dance or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Mhm.
just like, please, it's so fucking cringe to me. I just don't even want to watch it. But when I see one ethnic group, like minority ethnic group, fighting against another minority immigrant ethnic group, it's all popcorn for me. I mean, I just think it's great because other people are seeing the negative impacts of Islamic immigration.
I don't know, man. I love me a good Maori haka. Like if you've ever seen a New Zealand change of command ceremony, you're missing something in life because it is actually cool.
I appreciate it. I just, it's so performative to me,
Yeah, yeah. They used to fight entire wars that way, and maybe it was a better way. I don't know.
Maybe it was a better way. Like maybe less less innocents were killed.
Hey,
So.
let me update everybody. As you can see, there is now power here. It came on late last night after 5.5 days with no power. So we'll be writing an article on lessons learned. And yes, even the guy who writes prepper books sometimes has to say, oops, we messed up. Like, for example, this side, that Mr. Buddy Heater right there. We left our other one back in Michigan. Bad.
Oh, no.
To go and get one. So we went and bought another one and a few other things. So we will we'll put those all in an article there. There's a couple things added to the Tactical Wisdom gift, Tactical Wisdom, the Camp Ponderosa gift list for folks who want to help us out. Like we found that we had this great Duraheat kerosene heater over in the garage until we went to light it when the power was out and there was no wick in it. Therefore,
oh no,
neat tool that can heat this whole building that doesn't have the parts it needs to work, even though it's brand new. So you have to be checking these things out beforehand. And yeah, Deborah Dan, I'll tell you why I didn't see any news of looting in Montana, because looters are found where they loot, right? They're literally still on the ground. They don't go anywhere. But anyway, so it was good. We'll be doing a whole article on that, and we'll be talking about it, all that. I want to point out that it's Christmas week, and if you are not listening to Pentatonics on a loop on your YouTube, you are wrong. Fix it. It doesn't get any better than "Mary Did You Know" by them.
Okay, so
I will argue with you on this. This is the time of year for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Listen, I don't even know how.
That is 100% true.
I don't even know how they had the Siberian Orchestra, let alone that the entire Siberian Orchestra was trans. But
right.
damn, they're good at playing.
I never thought those dudes were trans, but apparently they are.
So this is what's in. I want to hear more about this, Joe. Give me your sales pitch for the Pentatonics on loop at Christmas.
Well, I'm going to defer to Watcher on this. It's got to be Pentatonics and the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Maybe a little Mannheim Steamroller.
And if you have not ever seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra live, you have to. It's an amazing show. I've seen it a couple of times live, but get on it. And why? But because it's all a cappella, and they're pretty fantastic at it.
It's good.
Being a cappella. And when they sing Mary Did You Know, there's a lot of feeling in that. So
Can I just say I appreciate you're leaning really into the Christian part of Christmas, right? And
Hispanic girl ain't bad either.
and I totally appreciate that, right? Because while I really love the Christian songs, and I like when like army bands, for instance, will play like the Christmas, like the actual like Christ-centric songs. I have a really, the 80s, the 70s, 80s kids in me. I have a real like deep connection to like a lot of the cultural Christmas songs from America, because America was better than that. That's probably one of the reasons why Christmas became so commercialized, was because we built all these traditions that were not intentionally anti-Christian, but they kind of like, it was Christmas without the Christ, right? And so my favorite of era for that is basically this, right? This is my if I had Christmas music on loop, it's stuff like this.
Rat Pack.
Yes,
No,
we know you were entirely born in the wrong decade. We do know.
However,
I know, man.
if you
Listen
go
to this.
literally like a couple seconds more than that, we're gonna get slapped off of YouTube.
I don't care. It's what are they gonna do? Take my money away on YouTube? Anyway, so Dean Martin Christmas Live. It's on YouTube. Check it out. I make my fucking kids watch it every year. My oldest daughter is probably happy that she's not here with me, so she doesn't have to watch it again.
Yeah,
so.
Wife and I have agreed that Rat Pack era of Christmas songs is good. Although you have to be careful because occasionally you do get hit with Dean Martin's Dominic the Donkey, and there's only so many times you can hear that song over a single season. It's kind of like what's the Christmas rapping? I can't remember the name of the band.
That's not true because I could listen to Christmas Eve in Sarajevo by TSO like nonstop.
Well, that one's pretty good.
Or, I mean,
yeah. Well, for my intro today, gents, I'm gonna bring the mood down just slightly, and I will say, gents, did you hear that? Oops, I'm not sharing. That James Ranson died, and they keep saying that he's best known for The Wire, but that's not what anybody my age best knows him for.
No, we know him as Ray.
Yes.
Don't spit on Brad's Humvee.
But yeah, sadly passed.
Was he a Generation Kill?
He was, yeah. He was.
Yeah,
Ray.
see, I've never even seen that.
Generation Kill. Oh, oh man. See,
he made the movie. He was literally the key character.
Here's
Brad Colbert, who was the main character. It was Ray.
So for me, like I have a hard time even watching, and it's not like it's traumatic for me.
No,
it's like I just can't get
back
anything about like a war I was in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Generation Kill to me encapsulates life in a Humvee, and I think that's why I like it. Not just because it's Marines, but because it is that bond and camaraderie you get with a group of guys in harm's way in that same vehicle, right? And every one of us who served knows a Ray, right? Yeah. Everyone knows a character exactly like Ray in Generation Kill. So.
You know what? We're right. I told the wife this year, I think it's like literally at midnight on Thanksgiving, they bust Mariah Carey out of her cryogenic cell.
Yeah, I think Mariah Carey should be banned permanently.
I mean, like whatever. The interesting thing, I watched a music theory video a couple years ago on that song specifically, but some other pop songs, and there's like this kind of like chord progression in it or whatever, that it's like songs with that chord progression in it are like magically like earworms, the kind of songs that you just can't get. And
you've obviously studied it far more than anyone I've ever met. So.
Well, the extent of my studying was watching a 5 minute video. 5 minutes of a 10-minute video. So I mean, all right, guys. So bottom line is, despite the difficulties, everybody's doing good. Unfortunately, the Venezuelans are having a hard time keeping track of their Dark Fleet tankers. It's hunting season. U.S. forces target third Dark Fleet tanker near Venezuela. Boy, I tell you, we're going to have like a whole little like fleet of our own of Venezuelan tankers.
My favorite is what must like, I guarantee you this is what got said, because the other two just kind of like, oh, we got them, right? Like we flew dudes in and they just kind of surrendered and that was it. This third one actually ran, and you got to know somebody was like, we got a runner.
It's hunting season for U.S. forces off Venezuela coast in international waters as gunboat diplomacy ramps up with the pursuit. I am okay with the term gunboat diplomacy and all that it applies.
Boys, this could be us this Christmas season if we could just get the letters of marque thing passed.
Well, let me just kind of.
I don't know. Did you see the insurance requirement on that some bitch they proposed? I don't know if I could get that much insurance.
All right. So let's see. AP News spoke to with a U.S. official on Sunday who said the Coast Guard forces were pursuing a sanctioned dark fleet vessel that is part of Venezuela's illegal sanctions evasion. The official said the tanker was operating under a false flag, which is subject to a judicial seizure order.
This is
On
important
Sunday,
because the left keeps saying they're just stealing these boats and seizing them without due process. Every single tanker we have seized has already had due process in a U.S. court. That's why we seized them.
yeah. Well, the irony is that a lot of these tankers that operate freely on a regular basis have warrants against them. They just can't come in. Normally we wouldn't pursue them in international waters just because it's just not worth our time. But in this case, it's worth our time.
Yep absolutely.
Earlier this month, the U.S. seized the sanctioned VLCC Skipper. Now the tanker is about 1 day out of the to Galveston offshore lightering area. That's kind of a hard word to say if you've never said it before. We have pointed out that Trump's gunboat diplomacy is a foreign policy objective aimed at accelerating regime instability in Caracas, materially weakening Cuba. The Wall Street Journal warned Sunday that Trump's move to disrupt Venezuela-Cuban oil flows is already ratcheting up pressure on Havana. It would be the collapse of the Cuban economy, no question about it. God, if we could get regime change in Cuba and Venezuela at the same time without firing a shot of our own, that would be magical. Talk about going down in history, Joe. If Trump could do that, I mean. Yeah. Nobel Peace Prize. I'm just saying. It would be the collapse of the Cuban economy, no question about it. Let's see. Given the crude oil flows from Venezuela to Cuba to China, we're kind of surprised Beijing hasn't criticized Trump's strategy in the Caribbean. Yeah, because China doesn't want to admit that this is where they get oil. Wow. And also, China has a lot of different ways they get oil, so it's not like they just like this.
Have you noticed what this has been doing to gas prices?
Are you talking about?
It's dropping them. The seizure of these, ever since we've started seizing these, gas prices have gone down.
Well, I've also heard,
except in California where they're going up because the fucking oil companies are leaving California.
Yeah, I've also heard tell though that, and this is just kind of rumblings, that China is considering other ways it might respond to this, like, oh, you want to seize ships coming with our cargo that you don't like? Maybe we'll intercept a few ships headed to Taiwan with weapons we don't like.
Well, the irony there is that we actually have a navy that can escort these ships if that becomes an issue, right? But Venezuela definitely doesn't have that, and oh, by the way, neither does China really. Joe, what's your ability? How do you rate China's ability to operate outside the first and second island chain? As far as
way more than everyone gives them credit for. China has.
This would be directly inside the first island chain.
Well, I know, I got it. I'm just saying, just as a whole. I mean, the first island chain.
They've operated for almost 15 years in the Gulf of Aden. That's pretty far off of the second island chain.
Yeah. So, what assets do they usually operate with outside of the? Is it usually a destroyer or a frigate or what is it?
It's a couple of. There's a cruiser and a couple of destroyers that operate out of Djibouti. It's true. I had to say it.
I wanted to set that one up for you, Joe. I mean, I'm ignorant about the Navy, but I'm not that ignorant. I knew where this was going.
The other way around, a cruiser and a couple of destroyers that operate out of. But their destroyers are more of what we would call a frigate, so out of Djibouti.
The other thing they don't give them credit for is their ability to grow these ships. So these frigates are not as, or these destroyers are not as capable as like a Arleigh Burke, but they don't have to be, because if they decide they want to press print on the destroyer machine in wherever they make their destroyers, they can literally print 50 of them in the next 2 years.
I also think they have an amphib base there. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they do, because that's how they're part of the anti-piracy task force. Here's the secret thing that people don't know: China likes to really get involved in UN peacekeeping operations and UN anti-piracy operations because it enables them to conduct combat operations and gain experience. We like to think we're the biggest provider of peacekeeping troops to the UN, but we are not. China is. China's had a contingent in Sudan. So they went in under a peacekeeping mandate. What did they end up doing? Taking over almost all the oil industry and the rare earth minerals because they already had troops there and they offered to secure those sites, right? Then all of a sudden they become Chinese assets. And they're doing this all over the world. But they are conducting maritime operations off the Gulf of Aden and have been for a long time in an anti-piracy capability. So they do have the capability to operate outside of the island chains. I
don't know about you, Joe, but I want America to be the smallest provider of forces to the UN.
I'm down with that 100%.
If our only support to UN peacekeeping is to provide a captain who basically guarantees that we don't have anybody deployed in support of UN missions, I would be okay with that. Because captain I think could probably handle that job. Right. Right. Let me get back to this one. Let's see. The second oil tanker now seized in the name yet to be released. Skipper had faded from the news cycle until now. Research from Tank Tracker provided an update on indicating Skipper's location was 1 day away from Galveston. Joe, let's talk real quick about this letters of marque thing, because this definitely went from a theoretical idea on this show, because I didn't hear anybody talking about letters of marque back when we used to talk about it, right? And we always used to talk about getting
I'm thoroughly
letters of marque. We'll take care of this, right?
Like we used to joke about it, but I am thoroughly convinced that someone on the administration's been watching our show. No, like I'm not even joking at this point. Like legitimately, every single strategy we're currently taking are things that the council said we should do. Forget being a think tank. We have the president's ear. I don't know how.
I just wish we had.
Before we switch to that, I have two last comments on the Chinese naval thing. One I have to say, because it wouldn't be me if I didn't. They have the smallest naval presence in Djibouti of all nations. They can't really penetrate very deeply. But I'll also point out that through that base, they evacuated 35,000 Chinese citizens from Libya in 2011. 35,000. That's way more than we've ever done on an NEO. So they do have the capability. Anywho, but letters of marque. Hey, man, I'm down for it. I have an eye patch. I've got one of those sideways hats. I'm ready to go. I have a cutlass. I mean, let's just make this all happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down as well. I think it's a great idea.
Hunch takes the term pirate booty to mean big booty Latinas, and he has the wrong interpretation, but he can come along either way. So.
Watcher, what's your take on the letters of marques and how you should do that?
I think it's genius. I actually think they're going overboard with being too precautious about it. Look, it's essentially the same concept as why do we have the Second Amendment? Because it raises the cost of any type of tyrannical or shitty move, right? Like self-defense is a good secondary thing, but ultimately it's to make it more costly for anybody who would harm our liberty to do so, right? This essentially just makes it that much more costly anytime the cartel wants to send somebody out. Not only that, but the type of people who would actually be doing the intercepts for the most part would be, let's just say that, the type of guys Joe used to roll around with in certain shady foreign countries. The types of guys who know how to handle their business and get shit done. I see nothing but positive from this. They're going to be able to do it a lot cheaper, and they're probably going to do it just as effectively. Oh, can I mention a secondary thing? This would be excellent training to get them started on then going after the Chinese maritime. Once
you perfect your operations in the Gulf of America, then you could expand beyond that. So just a background on this, because I think this is if let's be honest. A lot of the people in our chat probably weren't watching the show back when we used to talk about this all the time. So just a little background on what we're talking about. So basically, these are government licenses issued by the federal government under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Allows private citizens, known as privateers, to attack and seize enemy ships and cargo during wartime. Joe, you can't do that unless you can keep and bear arms. I'm just saying. It looks like Australia might not be able to do that. The practice distinguished legal privateering from outright privacy, as privateers operated with the state sanction and often kept a portion of the captured prizes as profit. This is where you get the idea of prize, like a prize,
Yeah, and in this case, they're obviously going to have to issue bounties for drugs because it's not like you can have those guys come home and sell it. But easy done. Just tell them straight.
Well,
value, right?
I think there are a lot of ways to dispose of drugs that are seized in maritime operations. I think fire and water are a pretty good way to do that. Though the environmentalists would freak if they knew you were dumping a bunch of cocaine into the middle of the ocean. The practice, let's see, the U.S. last issued them during the War of 1812, and the practice largely ended internationally with the 1856 Declaration respecting maritime law, which banned privateering. So there's a big but. So why are we talking about this? You've basically got the Mexican cartels and whoever's running drugs out of Venezuela employing these smuggling routes through the Gulf of America, right? And so in December of this year, so this month, Mike Lee introduced the Cartel Mark and Reprisal Authorization Act, which with a companion House bill by Tim Burchett. The legislation would authorize the president to issue letters of marque to private entities, allowing them to seize cartel property and persons outside the U.S. territory on land or sea for acts of aggression against the U.S., i.e., drug trafficking. The proposal frames cartels as modern pirates or corsairs threatening U.S. security, justifying privateers to intercept smuggling vessels in international waters. And Joe, with the drugs being deemed weapons of mass destruction now, this kind of brings a whole new, you could basically say these are chemical warfare weapons that are basically being smuggled to be used against. And the irony is that, and I hadn't ever thought of it this way, but if you frame it, not just the fentanyl deaths in the last, couple, 5 years or so, but if you look back to say the beginning, about 9/11, about 2000, right? Like all the drug deaths, it's actually way over almost 500,000 people. And so if you considered that we had a 30-year war going on where 500,000 people died, you'd think that people would be outraged, but most people don't even seem to care. So that kind of puts a different face on it.
I can't wait for people to start thinking a little more longer term. Hey, you don't run a multi-billion-dollar drug empire without significant money laundering. And gee, didn't the Panama Papers just tell us that most of the major banks are actually knowingly laundering money for these cartels?
Well, another area where I think that they need to put a lot of interest into is the casinos. Like how much drug money laundering goes through casinos.
Well, again, what we found out through the Panama Papers is, for the most part, the cartels don't have to do any of that kind of shit that a lot of other places do, because the banks just take their money. The banks are doing the laundering for them for the most part. So
if you also think that privateering is illegal on the international stage, it's all in how you word it. I would say Google Ambry Maritime and then tell me how they're not privateers, but they're perfectly legal under international law because
100%
security.
Yeah,
right?
I love Ambry.
They're literally a private armed force that anyone can hire. And you can say, hey, I want that boat, and they'll go get you that boat.
So anyway, that's just a little background. a little background on the whole letters of marque thing. Here's the way I think that you could actually sell this on a kind of a broader scale, right? Because you need a PR campaign to go along with. If you just limit it to the Gulf of America, right? It's like, listen, it's just on our Gulf, right? That kind of language, right? Well, first of all, you'd piss off the Gulf countries maybe because of that. But let's be honest, most of them like us. They don't like Venezuela and they don't like Cuba. They like making money off of U.S. tourists who basically keep their economies afloat. So they're not going to say shit. Now, Joe, what kind of licensing agreement do you think that a group would need to have in order to, like, because it's one thing to say, let anybody just get some AR-15s and a
mark is a license, right? But it would have to be issued specifically to you. It's not like a blanket thing. They're not just going to say, all right, letters of mark, and everyone gets one. You have to actually apply, explain what your capabilities are, what sort of vessel you have, what sort of crew you have. So it'll be just like a private military contractor license you would get to operate in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or any of the other dark and dusty places of the world. So it'd be very similar vetting to that. You have to show that you're not actually pirates, but that you could be if paid the right amount by the right people. Here's the thing, though. The only thing that privateers changed was who paid you, right? Privateers just said you got paid by the government. People were still taking other ships and selling them as salvage. So I guess a letter of marque just makes it all okay. But when you're on if you're out in international waters, there is no law. So do with that what you will. In other words, boys, we don't need no stinking letters.
Well, the irony there is, Joe, is that, let's be honest, the only part of those boats I think that you could get any resale value out of in America would be the engines, because those are some nice engines that
there are some nice engines. Oh no, you can get some resale value out of other things on those boats. It's just not legal.
It's just not legal. That's exactly right.
Yep. So Major Tom on a black background. Yeah, that's our flag. Or we go with this Major Tom that we bought just for Halloween. So
I think that goes on the prow. We need a ornate prow.
Like a Viking ship, right?
Yeah.
Put this up there when we're actually pursuing the enemy. That's a great idea.
Well, I don't know if it's funny you would mention that. I don't know if you guys saw this, but that was one of the things that John, the merchant marine guy who's very knowledgeable and does a lot of posts on X, was talking about was we need to bring back figureheads.
So listen, there are shipyards. Don't ask me why I know this, but I do. There are shipyards in Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia that will buy as scrap or as remodels literally any ship you bring them and not ask for paperwork, because that's how life works in Asia, right?
Well, Joe, I think this kind of goes a little beyond the scale of what we're talking about with the whole kind of, cartel letters of marque is that, Watcher, was it your idea about this is a good solution for the Chinese fishing fleets that are basically raping the,
100%.
We don't have the capacity as a military to be able to patrol all of the different places that we do. But you know what we do have is a whole bunch of allies who have money that we gave them for the defense that they mostly just kind of flounder around spending in their own way, that they could very easily turn around and hire privateers to be able to do those jobs. Not only that, but hey, what better way to bolster the ranks of our allies' navies than acquiring new ships, shall we?
By the way, I want to talk about the Merchant Vessel Ocean Trader, which is a U.S. government-owned ship that originally was made to look like it's just a commercial freighter, right? It turns out it's actually based. Clive Cussler, a guy who wrote a whole series of books about the Dirk Pitt adventures. He wrote a series of books called The Oregon Files, which was about the merchant vessel Oregon, which was exactly that, a ship that traveled the world, a private military contractor ship that did missions, deniable missions for governments. And then here it turns out the United States actually has one exactly like it. So a secondary profit is Clive Cussler. So if you like
Well,
the
I tell
movie
you what,
Sahara, he's the one who wrote that. Anyway,
I as a kid, I remember reading like all those like Dragon,
Yeah.
like what's funny is I never read Raise the Titanic, like
So I just got started on the Dirk Pitt books. My mom got me started on them, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, mine too.
But the Oregon, the ship, first appeared in Flood Tide, one of the Dirk Pitt novels, and that was it. That was what I wanted. I wanted to read about the Oregon, and then they created a whole series on it. And as someone who served as a private military contractor, that whole book series just spoke to me.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. I could think nothing better than taking a bunch of y'all and riding around the world on a ship, getting to do whatever we wanted and taking only the jobs we wanted. I'd take some of y'all with me. Be prepared, and Doc Teddy Bear would run our sick bay. I don't know what Hunch would do, but we'd find something for him. Jay Clark would be our lawyer. We'd be in good shape.
Yeah, I mean,
Patrick.
I feel like we've got a pretty good crew that we just need to kind of get the boys all together in one location and call it a vacation
range
cruise,
off the fantail. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. You just don't tell your family what you're going to be doing. Just let them know you're going on a fishing trip for say 2 weeks to 2 months. Let's see. G-Man for $4.99 says Kenny Rogers and Winona Judd's version of Married Did You Know is the best version. Also, crooner era Christmas is best. I totally agree. I'm a huge fucking fan of the crooner era, the 50s and 60s. I even Googled at some point when right after we were talking about that stuff, I Googled the McGuire sisters Christmas. I don't know if you remember the McGuire sisters, but they were another kind of singing act from their height of their powers were in the early 60s. So that's another one that is just go-to goodness for Christmas from that era. But anyway, yes, absolutely best era. Let's see. We had member chat. We've got Fadus, member for 27 months. Thank you for that. That's a long time to be hanging with us. We appreciate you. Irony is the scream that we don't follow international law, and then when we do, they cry about it. Well, let's be honest. I mean, America is the only country, good, bad, or indifferent presidents, who has consistently realized that you need to basically not follow international law, because if you do, you're never going to be right. You're always going to be wrong. So you might as well just not even follow international law. And we only follow the international law that we actually write and generally ruthlessly enforce. Like the counter-proliferation treaty is one that we go after. Joe, you know what? I'm going to need to download the Oregon Files, the audiobooks, right? Because I never read any of those.
I just dropped a link to the whole thing right there.
I know. I just saw that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to I've got several credits on Audible that I can dedicate towards that. So, yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next. That could have been almost a full segment if we just pushed it a little further.
Yeah.
All right, next. So when you think the Hezbollah, Lebanon, Israel thing is over, major Israel strikes on Lebanon as Beirut days away from disarming Hezbollah. I don't know what that means. I am not confident that they were actually days away. Though I do see a Mini Cooper on fire, so that's not a bad thing. The Israeli army carried out several attacks on South Lebanon on Sunday, hours before Beirut said the disarmament of Hezbollah in the southern Litani River area is days away from completion, i.e. they basically were blowing up weapons that Lebanon had no idea about. An Israeli drone struck a car in the southern town of Yadar. Minutes later, Israel bombed a motorcycle about 300 meters away from the targeted car. The Israeli army said it recently attacked another terrorist from the Hezbollah organization in the Yadar area, southern Lebanon, in a second statement following up on its announcement of the first strike. There were preliminary reports of casualties after the two drone strikes. Israeli machine gun fired artillery shells also struck Kafar Shuba and the nearby Basra farm earlier on Sunday. A day earlier, Lebanon's prime minister claimed that in a statement that the first phase of disarming Hezbollah is nearly complete. The prime minister affirmed that the first phase of the weapons consolidation plan related to the area south of the Litani River is only days away from completion.
397 days, but only days away.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you believe that, I have some beachfront property in the Golan Heights to sell you.
Show me the territory held by the Lebanese army, and I'll believe it.
Right.
Oh,
the only army that is less in control of their own country is the Mexican army. Let's see. The statement came after talks between Salama and Simon Karam, a former Lebanese ambassador to the U.S., who Beirut recently appointed to hold direct talks with Israeli representatives in violation of Lebanon's law and under heavy U.S. pressure. The Lebanese government has been vague about the direct talks, which have continued despite Lebanon's parliamentary speaker and Amal movement leader recently saying that Beirut will not negotiate under fire. Bullshit, they will, because they know what's fucking good for them.
How old is Barry? Because he's been around for like a million years.
I know. That's a name that I'm familiar with from, I want to say, like almost the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember him being involved after 2006, too. All right, so we got a map here, Watcher.
So.
Yeah, we got a map here, Watcher, that we can show. In the past 2 months, Israel has significantly escalated deadly strikes and other violations of the Lebanon ceasefire, claiming Hezbollah has rearmed itself. Dozens of Lebanese have been killed since the start of the last month alone, since the ceasefire deal went into effect in November of 2024. Over 300 people have been killed, including scores of civilian and children. The Lebanese army has been dismantling Hezbollah's infrastructure south of the Litani River in line with the ceasefire deal reached last year, saying it completed 90% of the disarmament process in the southern Litani area. Under pressure, the Lebanese government adopted a decision in August for the resistance movement's full disarmament by the end of this year. The Lebanese army was ordered to draft a disarmament plan and has kept it confidential. So yeah, here on the map you can see where the Litani River is. It's that red line. And if you see the kind of gray line that basically makes a box with the red line and the sea, that's that kind of area that they're talking about, right?
That's Hezbollah.
Yeah, that's that part that is Hezbollah. Now that area south of the Litani River used to be controlled by the Christian militias, Christian Lebanese militias, but they were basically sold down the river by Israel during the 90s era when all that kumbaya shit was going on with Yasser Arafat, and they either mostly fled or either to Beirut or to Israel.
By the way, Barry was leading them all the way back then. So I just read a quick little thing. Yeah, he is the original leader of them all. Hey, interesting fact I just learned in doing that little research on Barry. I hate to digress what you're doing because great story, but this is an important point. You know what the military wing of Amal is currently called?
What?
The Development and Liberation Bloc. Sounds suspiciously like the Party for Socialism and Liberation, doesn't it? Anyway, I thought that was an interesting side note. So I'm glad you took us down this road, Scott.
Well, hey, I'm here for you, brother. So anyway, basically the U.S. has pressured Lebanon into this action. Now, are they disarming Hezbollah? Yes, they are. Are they doing it effectively? We shall see. My guess is if Israel continues to blow up random buildings and cars, the answer is no, because Hezbollah still maintains quite a bit of an underground network there. And Joe, the Hezbollah probably borrowed some of the same tunnel diggers that Hamas was using, and I would imagine there's a lot of,
North Koreans. That's who helped.
Yeah, I know, right? I would imagine there's quite a bit of underground infrastructure to be determined in these areas that Hezbollah has not given up. They're basically their go-to-war stashes.
Yeah, they're well known for that. By the way, that's how they conducted that ambush at Bint Jebel that destroyed all those Merkava tanks. Was underground tunnels. So,
well, the interesting thing there is that we had the Israelis went into southern Lebanon recently, right? And they were expecting another 2006, and what they got was more of a whimper than a bang. And they did find a lot of these underground storage bunkers. So it's interesting to see. Hezbollah has definitely lost a lot of its old vim and vigor.
they learned the grift was better than the fight.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, I think that's what we learned with with some of the pager stuff, right? Because a lot of them were involved not in actual terrorist operations, but more organized crime inside of Lebanon. Because all of these smuggling organizations went tits up after the pagers blew up.
Right. Good money to be made. And they also learned too that the bribes from Western governments to not blow up everything in sight were actually pretty nice. And there was some good money to be made there. So
yeah, that's right. All right. Let's see. All right. So this next one is a heartwarming Christmas tale that everybody will appreciate. Joe, I'll just let the video speak for itself, and then you tell. I tell you what. I don't know if you've seen
a drone strike on Mariah Carey. I don't care.
Well, so I watch it. Just play the video in the video. So you can see the video without knowing any context.
What exactly is going on here?
It's a cartel Christmas.
Wow.
Everybody's got to have a Christmas special.
Now my wife's going to want that inflatable. Fantastic. If the cartel can have it, I don't know why I can't. I can hear it already.
Exactly right. I like how they're a big fan of these Jeeps, right? They like the Jeep Wrangler. They like the Jeep. What is it? What do you call the one with the bed?
I don't know. The Jeep pickup truck?
Gladiator, I think.
Oh yeah.
Is that what it's called? They definitely like Jeeps though. So those are the preferred cartel. So if you have a Jeep and it gets stolen, if you wonder, you'll probably see it here in the parade. Is my guess.
What?
We got that.
That's actually pretty funny. You might find this interesting, but
Would you call it Bull Santa?
When you go around and you look at the clearance stuff at all the stores, in Kalispell, Montana, the black Santas don't sell well. Crazy.
That's shocking.
Weird.
Shocked, I say. Yeah. No, I mean, unless you're, anyway.
I like how Santa had bodyguards with AKs.
So here we got the members of the Los Tiacos or the Cartel de la Sierra organization organized a Christmas parade in the town of Guerrero. In the video, you can see gunmen on Christmas decorated vehicles handing out candy to the local population. So, I mean, the bottom line here is this is what you call information operations, right? This is literally what we called in the military a comrail event, which is a community relations event. In which you are building up goodwill between your forces who might have to have a gunfight on this very street next week, so that the people know you're good people and that you share their values, right? Which I don't know what that means in Mexico, but hey, it is what it is. I'm surprised they didn't have one of their monsters trucks, the armored kind of things there with all kinds of, because that's what we would do, right? We would take an MRAP and then we would put like Christmas decorations.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to present a magnanimous image here, and that doesn't exactly do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it says, "Hey, we're protecting you," right? And this is the kind of things that we're willing to and because they absolutely want the. What's that? No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, notice the flashing emergency style lights on the vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Parents should definitely check that candy for drugs. I think they should check those drugs for candy. It's probably.
Janine Rogers, member for 33 months. Janine, you are so OG. I appreciate that.
And Jean,
Mary,
congratulations on the news you shared with me. Well done, lady. Anyway.
Put it in the private chat. I want to know. Merry Christmas. I'm grateful for y'all that you do. God bless you. No, thank you. And thank you for being here with us. It's people like you who come day in, day out. Sometimes we got really baller shit to talk about. And other times it's just us making, we're just shooting the shit, right? So we appreciate you
Keeping
guys.
The channel open.
Yeah. Being here for us because you guys are here for us just like we're here for you. I'm just here to listen to Scott pronounce names from foreign countries in the southern accent. Hey, brother, I'm here for you. By the way, if you're a member, and I know a lot of you are based on what I can see in the chat, you've got these member chats, right? You get one every month for free. I feel like the members don't use them. That's fine. If you don't want to use it, that's cool. But I read them all just like they're treated like a $5 super chat. So armed elves are kind of cool. Where can I get some?
I can be had for a fee, but I'm not very elf-like.
Well, candy for you, Colombian necktie for you.
We're more like the woodland elves of the Lord of the Rings. We're not like the Santa's elves.
Corgi gives us a Merry Christmas crew. Member for 45 months. See, you just wanted to flex. Like, you think Janine's been a member for 33 months. Look at me. I've been a member for 45 months. Yeah, absolutely. I know you.
Nice flex. Hey, Earl Corgi, thanks for getting back to writing. Your articles are pretty good. If you guys don't follow Corgi Actual on Substack, fix your life, get on it, make it happen.
Yeah. Then let's drop the link to that. Watcher, if you can get the link to his thing. If it's not easy enough, I don't have it saved, but I need to get that saved. By the way, if you're in the chat and you make a YouTube channel or you make a Substack or whatever, you something where you're trying to put information out there to the world. If you would let us know either in the chat so that we can search for it or put it over in the fan chat over on X. And if you're not a member of the fan chat and you want to do that, Watcher, who's the best person for them to get with on to join that?
I think it's I'm gonna get in trouble.
Corgiactual.substack.com. Definitely go check out Corgi's stuff.
Doc, you're right. I do have better camo than Legolas because now my green woodland cloak, I have a Rhodesian brushstroke poncho that goes over that and makes it just perfect. So,
by the way, I don't feel like I'm sharing DMs when I share the group chat, the fan group chat, but I thought I would just share a little bit of that. Real quick
I think
here.
anybody who's in the group can add you, but Stormy is the admin.
All right. Well, I know Stormy is actually because I saw her in the chat and I asked her if she was at work, and she apparently is not at work. So she should. If Stormy, if you could add anybody who wants to get added, just put your here in.
I'm dropping it here actually. That's Stormy's ex. Go follow her and ask her to add you.
Oh
man,
beautiful one here.
People are mentioning some primo pieces of gear. I just have to say that I saw somebody, I don't even remember who. I just, the jealousy overcame me, and I couldn't even remember what was being discussed or what the podcast was about. But I saw somebody that had a full-on, full-length bathrobe made out of a poncho liner.
Really?
Yeah. And I need it.
What I need is the actual smoking jacket made out of a smoking jacket. Right?
That's pretty funny.
You don't have a smoking jacket?
Everyone has a smoking jacket, but I mean, this was a real smoking jacket, like made up like an old.
I got you.
1900 smoking jacket from a smoking jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, this week was all about the whoobies here, like layers and layers of whoobies.
Oh, hell yeah!
So,
you're right, Corgi. Peak of luxury.
The Climate Overland is a heavy-duty whoopie that you can buy from Climate. Marcus, I don't know if he's in the chat. He can attest to it saving his life in North Carolina one February. But it's like a whoopie comforter, and you need one. So Climate Overland, or is it Climate Horizon? No, Climate Horizon. That's what it is. And Scott, need to check my rhyme today because it was beautiful. It's
on point. Let me check it out here. Let's go tactical wisdom. Post. Don't be left in the dark. Come and learn about letters of marque.
Come on. That was good.
Chef kiss, Joe. Let's see. That deserves a gift replied over there in X. Let's see. There we go. If you are not following Joe on X, you are doing it wrong. You are doing the internet wrong. By the way, if you're not on X, I don't know what to tell you. I just if you're still a Facebook boomer,
Oh, see, that's not full length though. That's a size medium.
A schmedium.
A schmedium.
It's not even good. I guess they're made on Etsy, is what I'm seeing.
It's the holidays holidays are a hard time of the year, by the way. I just want to mention a lot of people in the chat probably are having difficulty with it. That being said, I am not one of those. I love the holidays. And my borderline sociopathic personality makes it hard for me to understand or even then care about other people who are bah humbug about the holidays. But I do.
You think it's borderline?
Well, I do performatively say that, hey, I'm here for you. I care. I understand what you're going through. But in reality, I'm like, well, Merry Christmas, and then I just move on to watch the Dean Martin Christmas special. So there, that's me. Uncaring, oblivious is what I would say. Oblivious to the feelings of other people.
Oh, Rowan, I have something for you. The Whoopi Snuggle, I got something for you. The Climate Versa. I'm gonna drop it in the chat here. I got this in a battle box, and it's awesome. You can put your hands and feet in it and wrap it around you.
Oh my God. Guys, I have found what you can get me for Christmas. I'm just hold on a second. I know we've kind of gotten off the topic here a little bit, but Joe, hear me out.
Hold on. I'm busy working magic. Okay, let's see it. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Micro excavator. Imagine the boss fighting position you could build in your backyard. And let's be honest, every guy wants to build a fighting position in his backyard. Not that he's like going to defend anything and have any sectors of fire. He just wants a fighting position in his backyard.
I actually found a couple overlooking the highway that were from down trees that we could make into solid ones in about 2 hours. So guess what my winter fieldcraft class is doing?
Well, but Joe, imagine how much better it would be as if you had one of these to do it with.
I know, right? I'll tell you what, I got out here and I was working with a chainsaw to clear these roads that all got blocked by trees. and Yogi shows up and gets out his little mini front end loader and just pushes them out of the road. And I was like, okay, this is a way better way. So,
what would be awesome is if you basically used the exact same like controls as their large industrial unit, so you could literally use this as a training.
Oh yeah,
I love the look. It even like tractor treads around. It's like, oh god. All right, I want hey, look, that's cool. Practice building fighting positions behind trees. Holy shit, added to my list. Yes. So clearly, I know my audience.
Here, let me show you the thing they're talking about. Stand by. We'll put this up so everyone can see it. Plus, share screen. Since we've gotten so far off track, we might as well just continue being off track. There, that bad boy right there. The orange parts, you can put your hands in. You put your feet in that bottom part. Pull that around you, and it's just like a little cape. Keep you warm, man. So,
packable camping blanket and comfort. I'm down, brother. I'll forever be like a old school like whoopee traditionalist, but man, just because the whoopie's great doesn't mean that we can't improve upon.
Look, there are so many improved whoopies out there. Like these climate ones are. This one, the Horizon. And like the Snug Pack Jungle Blanket, if anyone has that thing, that's an improved whoopee. And that thing is pretty legit. The Swagman Roll, that's another good one. Be prepared.
You know what I just realized about the 80s, guys?
Huh? What?
You know what I just realized about the 80s?
What?
I've never seen the movie Roadhouse.
A what?
The movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, you've never seen Roadhouse?
I've never seen it.
Wow.
Is it good? I mean, is it worth? Is it like, hey, stop your life and?
It's a classic.
Sam Elliott comes up, side kicks that dude in the knee, and the guy's screaming. He goes, "Damn, that hurts, doesn't it?" What a great movie.
It's all right. Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, right, Hunch. That's something you say out loud.
I know. Hey, brother. I mean, you can't be perfect, right?
Rowan went a little more extreme than that.
Shoot that man. I mean, the fuck, Scott. I know. I got it. Let's be honest. Like, I saw Patrick Swayze as like the guy all the girls wanted to go see. So if a Patrick Swayze movie came out, it was basically them taking you to see a chick flick. And so I saw Roadhouse as a kind of a gussied up chick flick for the women, right? To look at Patrick Swayze in tight jeans. So maybe it says more about you, Hunch, or not Hunch, but Rowan, than it has. Oh yeah, Hunch, you said it too. Yeah. Maybe it says something more about you than it says about me. Like I actually watched Escape from New York, and the like for every Patrick Swayze movie, there's a Kurt Russell movie out there that's way better.
Let me just point out Kelly Lynch in a really good scene. So I'm just saying.
Mutually assured says every Patrick Swayze movie I've seen.
No, Patrick Swayze is second only to Matthew McConaughey in this regard. There is not a single Matthew McConaughey movie where he does not take off his shirt.
You're not wrong about that, Scott. Road Court's like, wait, that's why I watch it. Anyway, all right. Like the 80s, everybody experienced the 80s differently. It just the important thing is if you were there. If you weren't there, then you won't know. You just won't know. Yeah, this is Patrick Swayze's high watermark for me.
Oh yeah.
Chris Farley auditioning for the Chip. Oh no, was it Chippendales, right? He peaked in Red Dawn. That's exactly right. 100%. He peaked at Red Dawn.
I don't know.
He was great
in Red Dawn. He was pretty legit in Point Break.
Yeah, it was that was a legit movie, but wasn't that a '90s movie? Didn't come out in the early '90s?
Maybe.
So he was in his like old man phase of his career at that point.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Hunch is right. Like the cast for the '90s was all in Red Dawn in the '80s, right? Charlie Sheen, C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah, it was the whole Brat Pack. It was the Brat Prepper piece, right? Hey, final thing to talk about in odds and ends before we go on, because this was kind of a fourth odds and end that we wanted to talk about was Watcher. There was some stuff about.
There's a lot of confused information about the Brown shooter.
Talk about. I am not tracking this, so please walk us through this.
Well, it's hard to know which one is correct because when you start digging into it, many people have said many different things. But it appears that there are timeline inconsistencies with when the guy died and other events that happened, like phone calls and potentially even the second shooting.
And renting cars.
Yeah. So it's unclear at this point whether that's just bad reporting or not. It doesn't feel like it though. Joe and I both are like this feels so like I don't know how guy who hasn't had a program with the guy that he goes in, the one guy that we know for sure that he's actually connected to, he hasn't had any kind of connection to since 20 years ago when they were in the same program together in Portugal.
And he has literally no connection to the professor whose classroom he shot up other than he used to study in that building. That's it. It's weak at best.
There are so many questions. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, is just man, it'd be great if maybe there were a authoritative and trustworthy law enforcement source who could be giving us the information they actually had at the time instead of a bunch of bumbling fucktards who have discredited themselves at every turn.
I don't understand how or why he would walk into a classroom, supposedly holding a grudge against this professor, finding that professor is no longer there, doesn't even teach there, and he decides, all right, and I'm just going to randomly kill people, and happens to hit like the new Charlie Kirk, right?
Right.
I'm sorry, it's too much of a stretch for me in this day and age. And you might think, well, it was just coincidence. No, not anymore. Not after all of the false flags and all the crazy stuff we've had happen. I'm sorry, this doesn't sync up with me. Something's wrong here.
Yeah, it doesn't pass the smell test, guys. I mean, I don't know any of the facts, right? I just hear what I know is reported, and I just, you can't follow every news story the way you want to, but just based on what I'm hearing, too many things are coming out kind of bizarre and stinky about this. And I have no confidence that this will be something that we'll find out everything eventually, right? Especially after the way the Butler shooting went. None at all. And the president was involved there, right? If you can't get the truth on when the president shot, then how the hell you're going to get the proof on a campus shooting like this?
Well, you see, Scott, the CIA finds a way.
You're not wrong there. All right, guys. Joe, talk a little bit about tactical-wisdom.com.
So I had an article up today, except I didn't have any electricity until last night. So today I'll put up an article about lessons learned during the unplanned power outage, or Boog Free Preview 2.0. Not any better than 1.0. So we'll talk about that. It'll be kind of cool. Right now, our big focus for the winter is getting folks trained and getting them trained in winter operations, because winter operations are important. We have on January 9th through 11th, once we're reopened after the holidays, we have winter fieldcraft, where we take some of the skills, camouflage and concealment, individual movement, picking out campsites and building fighting positions, and we apply that to the winter. We're going to be talking about snowshoe movement, how to track in the winter, how to avoid being tracked in the winter. Lots of cool stuff. So I've got some guys signed up for that already. If you want to come hang out with us in the wintertime in Montana, check out Winter Fieldcraft. It's going to be a great class. And then after that, we've got Kay coming in to teach Ground Rod 1 on the 15th and 16th of January. And then on the 17th and 18th of January, he's teaching Gunfighter Concepts Pistol. And I know you might think, I don't want to do pistol shooting outside in the winter, but you have to practice it. You have to be trained for it. And I can't think of a better time to do it. If you can do it in the snow, you can do it in the summertime. So come on out and check out Gunfighter Concepts. And then and Hunch is taking that class. So I don't know who else in the chat has. I'm pretty sure Be Prepared probably has. Solid instructor. Kay is fantastic. January 23rd through the 25th, Combatives Weekend, where we're doing all of the self-defense stuff from unarmed up through knives and bayonets. Come check it out. And then we'll do another round of winter survival. So a lot of cool classes coming up this winter. Just because it's cold and snowy doesn't mean we're not going to train. Got to be ready for all weather conditions. So come on out.
Hey, do they have a LED version of the mag lights out there nowadays?
Yeah.
All right.
They've had them for, I don't know, somewhere around a decade.
Well, people are talking about mag lights are still good. I'm thinking like, what do you mean? Like the old school mag lights are good? I mean, the
Streamlight actually makes one that's mag light size too. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean the key thing for me, like the mini mag was like my go-to flashlight for army stuff until I ran into those little, like literally the little clip-on LED kind of like key fob.
Proton light.
Yeah, the proton light. That's right.
Yeah.
And then they had like green, red, and blue, and I liked blue and green. And I always had like 3 of them somewhere in my shit. If I
still have a red one clipped inside one of my packs. It's great for looking in your pack and not getting light anywhere else. So
100%. Like I like the green light and the blue light just because I felt like I could see those better.
They also don't carry as far at night as red. So
well, the blue was perfect for looking for like land nav points like at night.
Oh yeah.
So all right.
In fact, when I teach land nav, I tell people blue light preferred.
Yeah. All right, let's do our brush beater ad for today. Grok enabled, by the way. I want to, just so you know, I don't sit here and like laboriously type on these things. I don't know if it bears mentioning, but yes, I use Grok to help me write these. All right, so welcome to the Council on Future Conflict, where tonight we're talking about tackling deeper problems tied to immigration, especially Islamic immigration, which is reshaping societies, and the sharpening of tensions between China and Japan over island seas and supremacy. From culture clashes at home to Pacific power plays abroad, the pressure's building. Enter our sponsor, Brush Beater Store, led by NC Scout, a.k.a. Matt, with Kyber Optics to give you clearest to clear sight in a world of blurred lines and rising threats. When demographic shifts spark friction or Sino-Japanese rivalries hide up, the Kyber Optics Brush Beater Store keeps you seeing straight. The Kyber Optics PVS 14 monocle, Generation 2, white phosphor, top-tier Japanese glass. Lifetime, you break it, we replace it. Warranty cuts through the night for monitoring local changes or prepping for distant storms. Go hand-freeze with the Skull Crusher head mount for sustained awareness. In daylight scrutiny of shifting neighborhoods and naval standoffs, Kyber Optics MDO slams home a close-admitted red dot with shakeaway and 50,000 hours of Battery life, reliable and close environment. It'd be good for if you're entering or boarding a ship as a privateer. MDO would make a great tool for that. Let's see. And for broader horizons, the Kyber Optics 1 to 6 power LPVO delivers variable power with rugged edge reticles, ideal for watching tensions escalate from across the water or the street. Feel the clarity of the darkroom at the Brushbeater's Yanceyville, North Carolina showroom, or claim yours at brushbeater.store/collection/optics. Use code CSC10 for 5% off all Kyber Optics. Night vision, radios, or training. Orders over $100 shipped for free. Big thanks to Matt at Brushbeater Store for fueling the Council on Future Conflict. Visit brushbeater.store, enter code CSC10. Stay sharp as immigration strains and Pacific rivals required. Now back to the show. All right, gentlemen. We have a lot to talk about today.
Well, I have one real quick.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, that's right. You got your
But we updated this. We actually have a domain now, so it's just Chirping Tree Farm Store. That's it. So chirpingtreefarmstore.com. Thanks, guys. Appreciate all your support. That's
how's it going, by the way? Are you guys keeping up, or sales going good?
We're doing pretty good. We've been doing great. We're gonna have some new products coming soon. I have a legitimate question though. Because people keep, your Chimkins arrived. Excellent. We'd love to see pictures, Squishy. Hope you like them. We have some new products that'll be coming out soon. Some other honeys and some people have bothered me about a hot sauce, and wife is working on some soap. So yeah. But yeah, it's doing way better than we ever thought it would. So we really appreciate you guys. We mostly got it up there just to because we said that we were going to do it this year. And so it was kind of came down to the very end of the year. And I was like, all right, wife, you haven't done it. Do you want me to just do it for you? So, but you guys really made her year. I'm not going to lie to you. You guys, you really, I owe you guys for how much you're supporting us. So I hope you guys really enjoy the products you guys receive in return.
Yeah, that's awesome when when somebody does something and people like it, right? I mean, there's just no better, feeling. You want to make money off of that stuff, but still the validation that comes from it's pretty good.
For sure.
All right. Yeah, Joe, that flashlight you gave me the link to, man, that looks like it's club size. Yeah, I was gonna say those mag lights back in the day, the full size mag lights was like the cop clubber of choice. It was like.
Well, what's funny is that people. So the old mag lights were great for hitting people, but were just absolutely garbage, god awful lights, especially after.
I know that's what I'm saying. For the size, it was
there's like a whole aftermarket now of people who'll take the old bodied ones and modify them with modern internals. So
interesting. All right, let's get into it here. So, gentlemen, the big story from last week with the Australia shooting. That's Australia. They have unique situations in Australia. But that being said, this is a threat and a problem worldwide. Europe, you got this problem. America, you got this problem. Essentially, any nice country with Western values is easy pickings for these types of parasitic colonizers who basically want to take over without the country and use your own laws and customs against you. Once again, my VIP from the Trump, I like on different days, I like the Department of War and the Department of State better. But Marco Rubio continues to just, every time he comes up to the microphone, he's saying stuff that I agree with and I like. And it seems like he's actually delivering the goods on the international stage. So we got let's see, how long is this? That is a long, we're not going to be able, I wish there was some clips from this. Anyway, I can just read the stuff in the story here. Let's see. Rubio's stark warning: Europe risks wiping out shared culture of Western civilization. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has fired direct shots at Europe's globalist trajectory, warning that the unchecked mass migration and erosion of core values could shatter the shared culture binding the West together and weakening ties with America. Echoing the Trump administration's national security strategy, Rubio pulled no punches in highlighting how Europe's slide towards civilizational erasure endangers alliances built on liberty and self-governance. At a time when the Department of State press briefing in New York and Washington, D.C. on Friday, Rubio addressed the backlash from European leaders over the White House recent national security strategy. Hey, Watcher, maybe you can find a clip from this on X. I'll keep reading, but if you can find a clip or two, that might be good, because like all I see are the full 2 hours and 9 minute version of the video. Anyway,
yeah,
so let me
get 3 minutes.
All right, let's see what he says.
Term that has been used by both the White House and the State Department. Well, the White House and the State Department have made kind of recurring overtures to Europe as a civilization that is in some.
Scott, can you hear that?
I can hear it, but I gotta really, it's really quiet.
Barely.
Let me see what I can do.
Sort of danger, and that should join with the United States as a sort of Western civilizational bloc, and it seems to be a recurring priority. However, with the release of the national security strategy, many European leaders, leader of Germany, members of the EU, of the European Parliament, have found it totally unacceptable or offensive or question the allyship of the United States with the rhetoric that was used. So I just wonder if the United States is correct in that these policies, like mass migration, will lead to civilizational erasure. Is it possible to save European civilization if the governments simply don't want to be saved?
Okay, so I don't know if you could hear this, but so what he basically said was policies like civilizational erasure. Is there anything that basically the America can do in order to prevent that? So I bet the Rubio audio is higher because
probably. Give me just a second though. I'm gonna try and fix it. I'm gonna have to leave, and I'll be right back.
All right. But, yeah, this is a big problem, whether Europe sees it or not. Let's see. Here's a quote right here. If you erase their shared history, your shared culture, your shared ideology, your shared priorities, your shared principles, then what? You just have a straight up defense agreement. That's all you have.
There we go. I think this will fix it.
Don't play the whole thing. Just play the part like right before when he asked the question, and then.
Western,
I was wrong.
What is it? And it's not just me saying. You go to these NATO meetings, you meet with people. What they will tell you is our shared history, our shared legacy, our shared values, our shared priorities. That's what they talk about as the reason for this alliance. Well, if you erase your shared history, your shared culture, your shared ideology, your shared priorities, your shared principles, then what? Then you just have a straight up defense agreement. That's all you do.
Okay, so that's just what I read. All right. So yeah, you can stop playing. I mean, I'd love to be able to hear it, but it's one of those kind of things that it's stop playing. No. Actually, anyway, we're kind of past it. Rubio emphasized that the United States was founded on Western values, such as the principles of liberty, individualism, and self-governance, noting that many of these ideas that led to the founding of our country found their genesis in some of these places in the Western Alliance. However, he expressed the concern that, particularly in parts of Western Europe, those things that underpin our alliance and our ties to them could be under threat in the long term. And by the way, there are leaders in those countries that recognize this as well. Some say it openly. Some say it privately. In the eastern and southern part of Europe, they're much more open about it. Nonetheless, it is a factor that needs to be addressed. So, Joe, I think this kind of gets to the point as to why guys like me and you say that NATO is an outmoded alliance, right? And it's not just the lack of a coherent threat, but it's also the lack of a, like we saw this coming, like maybe in 94, it wasn't as obvious, but, by the time we got to 9/11, there was a pretty divergent path between the direction the U.S. culture was going and the direction that the EU was going. I mean.
Yeah, and I think that when he specifically says Southern and Eastern Europe, he's talking about Italy and Hungary. And because they've been very outspoken about this. And I think that a lot of the Central and Northern European states were so invested in NATO and now so invested in the EU that they've lost their own identity. These other countries are ones that have always kind of tried to retain their own identity amongst the other organizations they're members of. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Italian culture is not the same as French culture. It's not the same as German culture, except for that unfortunate period in the 40s. But they are not the same. So I think that's exactly right. Those countries are trying to retain their own cultural value, and they're being castigated by the others who feel so guilty for being who they are that they're allowing their culture to be destroyed.
Yeah. Well, Derna actually makes the point that all NATO gives us is liability. Sure, NATO sent a handful of troops to Afghanistan. They also funded the Taliban to avoid being attacked. So the irony is that NATO we wore NATO like a skin suit during Afghanistan because, that allowed us to basically use the legitimacy of NATO to execute our war for the kind of the international audience, right? Because it was ISAF. It was
I don't even know about that, because NATO was supposed to be a defensive alliance centered on Europe. The Afghan war was not defensive and not in Europe.
Well, I mean, it depends on how. Like, here's the thing. Like, I've actually read the NATO treaty. Like when I was in Turkey.
No, depends. Afghanistan is definitely not in Europe.
No, I got it. But it doesn't say that only enemies in Europe, right? It doesn't say that. It says it's focused on, bringing countries of the Northern Atlantic region together. I can't remember the wording, but the point is that the countries are supposed to be Northern Atlantic. But then, of course, you got Turkey, which I don't know what part of the Northern Atlantic Turkey borders on. But then again, in all honesty, I don't know what part of Bulgaria or Romania the Northern Atlantic borders on. So, at least Poland is touching a country that touches the Northern Atlantic, right? In the most broad sense. But even then, it's really only the English Channel, for Germany.
But it fits within the territorial definition of the NATO.
Of Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
mean, there's specific Latin laws mentioned in it. So, yeah.
So anyway, the point is that the Europeans never thought they were going to have to go to war to defend the U.S. That was never in their kind of on their bingo card. That the U.S. would be attacked, and we are going to have a war we don't believe in. And let's be honest, some of the NATO partners really, did their part. I.e., I'm looking at the Polish special operations people. Who were part and parcel with our soft guys. Elements of the French army were absolutely good, but most of the Europeans were just kind of glad the U.S. Was there to call for 911 to when the shit started getting real. Like I talked to a Dutch officer and he said, I served in Afghanistan, and he's like, the thing that I didn't realize was how professional and how like operationally kind of sound the Americans were when it came to actual like fighting a war. He's like, I always knew that you guys were like, you spent a lot of money on training and that you could talk the talk, but I never saw how your actual soldiers walk the walk. So I appreciated that. He's like, because our Dutch soldiers could never do that. I was like, it's almost like you're not a contributing member of the alliance.
Oh man.
Don't get me started on my kind of spicy, like opinions on my NATO counterparts.
I'm excited for that day to come. That day will come.
Their face and just kind of jovial, gregarious conversation, not like you guys fucking suck. I was like, making like obvious statements, and I said it with a smile, and they're like, yeah. Let's see. You know what? Here's the other thing. From that experience, I also became aware of how baked in to like their national identity all of these kind of like ideas were. Like just like guns are baked into our national identity, like anti-gun or anti kind of things that we just take, like, well, you can't say things that hurt other people's, self-expression. Or I was like, oh yeah,
you know what used to be part of British culture? trial by jury, all the way back to the Magna Carta. It's now gone.
All right, let me read a couple of these other zingers from Rubio here. And by the way, there are leaders in those countries. Mass migration over the last decade has been highly disruptive, not just to the U.S., but also to continental Europe, and in some cases in the Indo-Pacific as well. So I think that it's a real challenge that multiple Western advanced industrialized countries are facing, and I think it's pronounced in parts of Europe as well. He says these remarks come amidst escalating transatlantic tensions, with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz deeming that parts of the U.S. strategy unacceptable from the European standpoint. Well, fucking pound sand, motherfucker. And the EU Commission head Ursula von der Leyen urging the U.S. to stay out of European affairs. Well, I tell you what, the problem with European affairs is it has become a tyrannical, debating club that doesn't debate anything and only decides to issue dictates. Who voted her into office? Oh, no one did. That's right. It's literally a tyranny.
I would say, okay, wish granted, and then take every single thing that I had in Europe and take it home.
Whoa, Joe, we were saying we want you to take all your toys and go home. We weren't saying that.
Too bad.
Eurocrats have been in full meltdown mode, with globalist figures like the EU Council President blasting U.S. interference while ignoring the bloc's own censorship crackdown. Yeah, ironically enough, including hefty fines on X for prioritizing free speech. As globalists elites cling to open borders and speech suppression, Rubio's words serve as a wake-up call to sovereign nations. They must reclaim control or watch their heritage vanish. Ooh. Corgi, thank you very much. $9.99. We will stay out of European affairs. Bring the troop home. Yep, 100%.
More importantly, bring the equipment home. There's a lot of money we have tied up sitting in warehouses in Germany and
pre-positioned warehouses, the APS fleet. Most people don't even realize we have so much gear, Joe, that we literally have excess brigade sets in almost every theater of operations. Like most countries have an equipment shortage. Like they may have more soldiers and so they just do those kind of light infantry units where you just give them guns and body armor and helmets, and that's about it, right? But we have full-on heavy brigade sets that are no soldiers assigned to it. They're just sitting in warehouses waiting for the assigned brigade to show up and fall in on those assets. There's a headline at the bottom of the story from December 19th. I missed it, but it says, "Why should Americans die for European tyranny?" If you go to the bottom, it may show it. It's basically like you don't have it there, but it's a zero hedge kind of showing their
internal
own, advertising their own story. Yeah. It shows basically a nuclear bomb going off with a city in the foreground. All right, let's move on to the next one here. So once again, another person in the administration that I was not prepared to initially like, but let's be honest. While I'm not a total booster of hers, as she's essentially a Democrat on a lot of issues, she has been right on the money with a lot of the stuff that she's been doing. Is Tulsi Gabbard. She sounds alarm on radical Islam weeks after Rubio warns of a Western invasions. Just keep it, on this issue, she may be saying the right things, but on, 9 other issues next week, she may be saying the wrong things. So this is not an endorsement of her, but this is an endorsement of the message that she's carrying, which is the message of the administration. News trends surrounding radical Islam have surged in recent weeks amidst a series of alarming developments across the West. So yeah, this is basically a search count. If you look at story count from radical Islam on mainstream media, it's the highest peak since 2020, that time frame. From the Afghan national who killed one U.S. guardsman and severely injured another near the White House to a terror attack in Australia, the mounting threats against Christmas marks Across Europe, the West increasingly appears to be under attack from within, all thanks to a nation-killing mass migration. Let's see. So Tulsi Gabbard spoke at the Turning Point, AmFest. And basically, she talked about the threats from Islamist ideology come in many forms. When we talk about the threat of Islamism and this pure political ideology, there's no such thing as individual liberty or freedom. So let's watch her video here. It's 3 minutes. No, it's a minute and a half. I thought this was the 3-minute one. This is pretty good. So let's give her a listen.
Which issued a call to action to use American legal and political systems to implement Sharia law. This is already underway in places. This is already underway in places like Houston. This is not something that may possibly happen. It is already happening here.
By the way, she's talking about CARE that got cut off before.
In New Jersey.
Yes, before
themselves the first.
Now, I was just going to preface what she's saying because it kind of starts in the middle of a sentence there. She said earlier this year there was a conference that was held by representing organizations like the Council on American Islamic Relations, also known as CARE, which issued a call to action to use American legal political system to implement Sharia law. And then that's where the video picks up.
They are working to implement in their own governments these Islamic principles that are forced on people through the use of laws or violence. The bottom line is this: when we talk about the threat of Islamism, this political ideology, there is no such thing as individual freedom or liberty. As Charlie said over and over again, it is fundamentally incompatible with our nation's foundation of freedom. And at its core, when we understand that our freedom comes from God and no one else, we understand the seriousness of this Islamist ideology threat, because it means they deny that God is the one who has bestowed this right to freedom in every one of us.
She continues on. So what do? We as Americans have to stand proudly for freedom and understand that free society cannot survive if it refuses to defend itself. We don't preserve freedom of speech by canceling it. We preserve freedom of speech by exercising it, by using more of it, encouraging more speech. We protect our Constitution by ensuring loyalty to the Constitution. We protect our democratic republic by ensuring that we, the people, elect leaders who not only believe in American values, but actually live them. Leaders who are committed to ensuring that we have a government of, by, and for the people, and leaders who are, most importantly, put freedom and interest of well-being of the American people first in every single decision they make. And the reason why I'm not co-signing with her is, while she says this, she has historically been in favor of gun control. So, we need to talk about all freedoms, not just this freedom of speech. Joe, what's your kind of impression on what she said? Not a lot to disagree with, I think there, but definitely some kind of like tweaking I would do if it were me saying this.
I always take prepared speeches with a grain of salt because she was speaking to her audience, right?
Yep.
She wasn't going to say, no, all is good there, but she is saying the right things. But I'm more concerned personally about the homegrown leftist threat. I know the Islamist threat is out there, but let's not forget, even though they would like you to, that a group of radical leftists were just arrested for planning attacks all over America on New Year's Eve, bombing attacks, targeting civilians. So I think that we've got a culmination of threats here, including the cartel threat, the domestic homegrown terror threat, and the Islamic threat that's really coming to a head. And you need to really be prepared for it. And Jay Clark, I was trying to find a nicer way to say it, but you just nailed it right there. So.
Yeah, female Vivek. No, I was going to say the same thing, that literally Vivek says a lot of the right things, but let's be honest, Vivek has not shown himself to be a consistent ally of our positions when given the opportunity to. And the problem there is he's either A, his heart's not in it, so he doesn't really believe this stuff, or B, he's wishy-washy, right? Which is in some ways worse than the first one, right? Because the first one you can identify it and you just completely ignore him. The other one leads you down the road of Mitt Romney, right? Like, oh, I'm a solid conservative. Okay, well, yeah, you're not a Democrat, so you can't go running to them. But at the same time, you will sell us down the fucking river every time to make a deal, which we can't afford to do. This is, and anyway, I don't want to get
the difference between Sri Thandahar and Vivek is a haircut, and one of them got caught, and the other one didn't with their shady pharmaceutical business dealings. So
now here's the thing: I'm conflicted about Nicki Minaj, right? And the reason why is not that I like co-sign anything that she does, because she said some wretched stuff in the past. The problem is the problem I have is that, like, in order to reach young people, you have to do it in ways that I am not comfortable with ultimately doing. And you may get a lot of converts that maybe traditional conservatism wouldn't reach through somebody like Nicki Minaj, who is essentially like, she is socially liberal, but financially and maybe a couple other ways, and maybe culturally conservative, right? Coming from the Black community, it's a shocking overlap between the traditional Black community and white conservatives and things like this. So it's that kind of like, nobody wants to admit it. So there is a legitimate overlap there, but there are some significant things that you have to account for in the behavior from her past that needs kind of.
We spent way more time talking about Nicki Minaj than I ever thought we would. Because
Nicki Minaj
doesn't matter. She's a shiny object that our side gets distracted on. Oh my gosh, we love this person now because she changed. She has no bearing on anything, guys. Forget about Nicki Minaj. It's nothing.
Yeah, the problem I have is that it ultimately says more about Turning Point USA than it does about Nicki Minaj, right?
If what Nicki Minaj is saying is even real, she is a performer who wants to sell record sales.
Right, records, right. And that's what I'm saying. That's why you have to be suspicious of anybody famous who is not,
Well, I mean, basically, all weekend, everyone talking about this, and I'm like, this is a utter waste of time. No one cares. I don't know what's funny is any media figure has to say, right? Like an actor or a musician, because they have no bearing on my life. Don't care.
Joe, you know what's funny is I was off the social networks for most of the weekend, right? And because I don't like. I'll check my DMs from you guys and things like that, but I don't sit there and scroll a lot. And so I didn't see the Nicki Minaj stuff until this morning. So I immediately kind of forgot about it. And so like when it was brought up in the chat, that was the first time I'd thought about it since then.
Well, Nicki Minaj is just a one more symptom of the bigger problem on the right? Person makes right noises we love now, right?
Yeah.
Vivek,
right. Tulsi Gabbard's the perfect example of that.
Tulsi Gabbard, all of them. And it's like, guys, just forget. Look at their consistent behavior over time. And then two, ask yourself, do I really care what this person thinks? It's like when they say, well, Tom Hanks says we shouldn't attack the Venezuelans. Okay, so no one cares.
Yeah.
Joe Dolio thinks we should. So, I mean, what's the difference?
Right. Yeah. What is Tom Hanks, his international conflict?
We elevate these people to a status that they don't deserve. Nicki Minaj is no different from any of us.
To the extent that I think that people like Nicki Minaj or Tulsi Gabbard, for that matter, are relevant, it's the extent at which that they can amplify the administration's message. So in this case, both Gabbard and Rubio in his previous clip are following President Trump's actions to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terror organization. Greg Abbott, so back to the story, Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton have designated the CARE as an FTO and a transnational criminal organization. Perhaps it's time for the Trump administration to dig into the nonprofit world where there is radical Islamists are hiding. Let's not forget about the former CIA targeting officer. Sarah Fisher warned that the Biden-Harris administration opened the southern border to allow an estimated 10,000 foreign Islamist terrorists in the country. Here's the thing. When I first heard that, Joe, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I was like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that came in, but I don't know that it's 10,000. The longer I think about it, the more I think accurate she was on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. There was a lot. And how many of them were caught totally by accident? And
right,
you probably only catch 1 in 1,000. So yeah, we're probably right. So
Rob, hey, don't be tempted to give me the Melanie Mack version of that name.
Look, Scott just mispronounces things all the time on purpose now.
That's right. I do it. Yeah, I'm leaning into the meme. That's what they say. That's what I'm calling my mental degradation as I get older. Leaning into the meme. All right. Let's move on, shall we? So the Prime Minister of Australia has been giving a ration of shit. And let's be honest, he deserves way more than that.
Deservedly so, yes.
Yes. And so this is a report from Avi Yemeni from Rebel News in Australia. He says they arrested the man who yelled at Prime Minister, "You have blood on your hands," in Bondi last week. What the F? Yeah. So let's watch the clip here.
Fucking blood on your hands! Blood on your hands!
Oh yeah, you can't say that. We're gonna arrest you.
Do you see that first cop try to put his hand over his mouth?
Yeah.
That's a sure way to get bit.
Fucking blood on your hands!
Yeah,
blood
right there.
On your hands!
He's trying to. Don't say it. Don't say it. That is so dystopian.
Yeah. In all Western nations, the freedom of speech used to be the number one thing. And the freedom to petition your government for the redress of grievances. That's what he's doing, by the way.
Literally. Yeah. Watch her scroll down on the you moved on that. Never mind. It's fine. There's just some funny pictures on the in the comments below. All right. And then of course some people in New Zealand are not taking all of this immigration kind of stuff laying down. Immigrants in New Zealand had their Sikh parade interrupted by a group of anti-immigration protesters. They shouted religious slogans like "One True God" and showed a banner saying "This is New Zealand, not India," and essentially gave them the cringe haka dance. I know, Joe, you're a haka fan lover. I, on the other hand, will watch it only because the show makes me show it. They're asking them for a tribal dance battle is what they're doing.
Look, man, when the Maori start doing this, I would probably listen.
Yeah. Well, the irony is that I know you got a blonde guy there in the front with them, so it's hard to say this is a Maori, only type of thing. But most of those guys look like Maoris, right? And so when that's the case, it's hard to kind of say, well, who do we? The government's like, oh man, this is a real stickler. Do we go with our indigenous, like Aboriginal, people that we oppressed colonially, or do we go with these new people that we shipped in and that we're not allowed to oppress because, well, they're the new people that because we need more, brown people.
The Maoris are known throughout history of having you over for dinner, so they are people to be listened to, right?
I know, right?
Gentlemen, I think there's a simple solution to all this.
Let them fight.
Let them fight.
I love it. Or you can go with the let's see. Do we have? Oh yeah.
I'm happy to see a story that highlights Indian colonization because the Indians are colonizing the world.
And what happens when the Indians colonize the world?
This business will get out of control. It'll get out of control, and we'll be lucky to live through it.
Oh, see, you said when I thought you were going to go straight for the San Francisco street shitting map, but
I forget that we have.
Oh no! Anyway, last week.
Or too bad it's not taking place. We're not talking about South Africa. Then we can play this one.
TIA, right, Med?
TIA.
What's TIA?
This is Africa.
I mean, any opportunity to show Jennifer Connelly, I think, is a good one. So, this immigration
South Africa. I'm from Rhodesia. I was just quoting the movie.
Oh yeah. So anyway, immigration is a problem all over the place, and it's not the we in America had tuned our immigration kind of arguments so much to the southern border, southwest border kind of region, and people from that area, right? But it's so broad now. I mean, Joe, the fraud that's coming out of Somalia now is that they said the amount of fraud just in Minnesota alone that they've estimated is half the GDP of is $9 billion or whatever, which is half the GDP of Afghanistan or 3/4 of the GDP of Somalia. So the Somali scam men in Minnesota alone are making more than all the other, Somalis back.
Wait. Fraud from Africans?
Hey, Joe, where have I heard that?
It isn't so. Say it isn't so.
Right.
It's to be honest though, it's sort of a national pastime. It's sort of a cultural thing because if you go to a shop there, you can switch price tags and things like that because it's all about who can fool the shop owner, who can do whatever. It's not that unusual to find that North Africans are involved in some type of fraud. Crazy.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. Like we were sold this bill of goods and we had like 12 million illegals in America, but ultimately it's probably something north of 40 million, which when you look at that, that's like what, 1/8 of our population or something along these lines. So, things, if you immediately delete those 44 million people, like they just disappear tomorrow, the American economy gets a shock, but it probably things get magically better overnight if that happens. I think.
Right. And then the job situation works itself out. All kinds of different things fix themselves with that one cool trick.
Yeah. And that's just the illegal immigrants. That assumes that you continue having all the legal immigrants stay, but the illegal immigrants go. So, I mean, and which is the thing that I always like back before this was a really popular topic. I used to say the way to make immigration in America work is make it fucking impossible to come here illegally. And if you do successfully come in here, make it so painful that you never want to come back. And then but then make it much easier to come in some legal kind of fashion if you want to come here short term or long term or whatever, because there is a need. I won't lie. There is a need for non-U.S. workers in the U.S. You just have to figure out where the sweet spot is so that it actually has to be to the U.S.'s benefit. It can't be to the benefit of some dumb idea, which is what it's been up till now. You'll be happy to know that Hindus are continuing to get persecuted in Bangladesh. They don't like Indian immigrants either in Bangladesh, so we have an ally there. All right, segment 2, China, big mad. So Joe, there's some interesting stuff coming out of the news in China. And like this is about as close to some of these rumors I think that you're going to get on. Can you?
I'd take an archive because it wouldn't open for me.
Yeah, it opened for me, but then it gave me something. So can you give me your archive link? Can you drop it in the private chat or put it in the
Yeah, I'll drop in the private chat. Give me a second.
Sorry, chat.
There you go.
I apologize. I just think I'm gonna mispronounce some Chinese stuff here, so should be interesting. As it takes forever for it to open.
I'm just waiting for them for the AI overlords to ask you to identify 1 million bridges.
Sorry, I had to say goodbye to the departing other half.
Oh, you know what's funny is that they don't give you the whole story on the archive.
Yeah.
They're redacting parts of it. You don't get to know that, Scott, unless you pay extra.
Right. And it's interesting how some of these places are becoming smart to this trend.
I will just point everyone to the first half of Red Storm Rising.
Yeah, you're right.
What was one of the first things that the Russians did in Red Storm Rising?
They had to fire a bunch of generals and things like that because they weren't meeting their kind of readiness targets or whatever.
Right on.
Chinese President Xi Jinping installed new military leadership for its central and eastern regions in an unprecedented purge of top defense echelons. General Yang Zhibin has been commander of the Eastern Theater Command, responsible for Taiwan operations, according to the official. Has become the commander. Official Xinhua news agency. The report also named General Han Xingyan as the new commander of the Central Theater Command, which is in charge of the defense forces in the capital, Beijing, Tianjin, and 5 other provinces. Let me see if I can find something that, like, there may be a Yahoo News or MSN. Let's see. There's a Reuters story. Let's see. The Elite Central Committee has replaced 11 members at a meeting marking its highest personnel turnover since 2017, where 8 generals were expelled for corruption last week. Since coming to power in 2012, Xi Jinping has spearheaded a sweeping anti-corruption campaign against the government and party officials. Zhang is a trusted loyalist, so this is the guy who's taking over that Central Military Commission. Analysts say the promotion of Zhang reflects the exceptional degree of trust placed in him by Xi. Zhang, who oversees the anti-corruption work of the PLA, is now second-ranked vice chair of the Central Military Commission, China's top military command body. He replaces the disgraced General He Weidong, who was purged last week. There is no one better to succeed the military's new political and personnel chief than its reigning disciplined star. Before joining the CMC in 2017, Zhang served in many years for the 2nd Artillery Force, now the PLA Rocket Force. He served in the CMC's General Logistics Department, yada, yada, yada. His personal loyalty to Xi has been thoroughly vetted during the 2 years of purges against the 2nd Artillery Force, a major corruption hotbed. I know where you're going with this, Joe. Let's dig a little deeper. I mean, these are essentially the people who would carry the water in a conflict with Taiwan, or even better, a buildup to the conflict with Taiwan, because I bet they're finding a lot of corruption in some of these forces, which means readiness is probably not. They're not as ready as they appeared on their reports, probably.
Just like the Russians were not as ready as they appeared on their reports when they invaded into Ukraine, which validated the prophet, peace be upon him, Tom Clancy in Red Storm Rising. But I think that this is one of 2 things. He needs some more politically reliable people if he's going to take action. So this is what he did. And he also needs commanders who actually are going to do the thing rather than sit back and run the grift. One of the things that people don't understand about the PLA, because they think everything works the same way it does in the Western world, but the PLA runs the majority of the businesses in China, and that enables warlordship, just like they've always had in China, where this general not only runs his division or his corps of troops, but he also runs 15 different state-owned businesses, and there's an opportunity for him to pocket a little bit of cash along the way. And that's a big problem in the Chinese army.
Yeah, you mean especially using things like substandard materials, quality control issues. One of the things that I heard a comparison of the PLA to the Russian military, and specifically the arms network, is that the PLA, while not great with their equipment, the QA is way better in China than it was in Russia back in the 80s and the late 70s, early 80s. So it's interesting to see how much of that was that defense industrial policy kind of corruption versus like the actual taking money out of the bank type thing. So,
well, I know that China is why we have the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, because in order to do any business in China, American businesses were required to pay bribes to the PLA, and we put an end to that. And it's why we can't compete with China anymore. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, all the time. When one side's given bribes and the other can't, it's not a fair playing field.
Exactly right. I mean, Jim's made that point on this show a lot, where he basically said that we're at a disadvantage in Africa because we can't bribe, whereas China can, or will versus can't, right? But then for them, it's state policy versus like the grift of individual business people. Mindful. Okay, so this is moving on to the next story. Mindful of Trump and China, Japan is ramping up its defense spending. Japan has accelerated plans to devote 2% of its GDP and more to military as China grows more assertive and the U.S. urges allies to spend bigger. This is a reflection of the escalating security threats in the region and the increasing pressure from the Trump administration on allies to spend more on their own defense. Japan planned to reach 2% target by early 2028, but Prime Minister Takaichi, a security hawk who took office in October, has supercharged the timeline. The parliament last week approved her plan of additional $7.1 billion on defense, taking total military spending to $71 billion in the year to March. It's a momentous change for Japan, which for decades has capped its defense expenditures at 1% of its GDP to uphold post-war pacifist norms, and underscores the dramatic shift Tokyo has taken since 2022 to bolster its own defense. Under Takaichi, Japan is exploring new initiatives, including rolling back restrictions on exporting lethal military equipment. 2% has already been a really complicated undertaking. But the fact that this is happening 2 years ahead of schedule with the desired aim higher really could not have been foreseen even a few years ago. That was somebody who oversee the, Mira Rapp Hooper, who oversaw the East Asia and at the National Security Council under the Biden administration. It was impossible because you had an incompetent president. You get a competent president that knows how to speak the language. On both sides, you have competent politicians, and now all of a sudden things start happening.
Their post-war constitution that forbids all this military spending and militarism and all of that was really a humiliation ritual heaped upon the Japanese, right? And the fact that they still follow that to the letter to this day and are only now starting to amend it is a big mistake on the Japanese's part. It's putting them behind the eight ball by saying that they could never deploy outside of Japan. They could only be used in defense. They can't export this weaponry. It's like white guilt, right? They feel really guilty for what they did in World War II, and perhaps they should, but not to the extent that it's harming them now, coming up on 100 years later, right?
Yeah.
It's time to move on. And again, the prophet Tom Clancy showed that there could be a negative downfall of that. If you ever read Debt of Honor, that's what it's all about, right? The humiliation ritual was too much for a certain group of the Japanese, and they decided to take action about it. It's good to see Japan taking some action and saying, look, we've really defanged ourselves for too long. We have a military history. We have a strong history as maritime fighters. Let's get back to that because China's walking all over everyone else in Asia because they're no longer afraid of us. And they're right.
Well, the irony, Joe, is that like this is a book. This is an actual book that I read when I was in college. And it just goes to show you what kind of a fucking foreign policy nerd I was even back then. because
I
let's
was
be
going to
honest.
say was.
Well, even back then, right? So, like, The Coming War with Japan, right? This was a book very much of its time in the 90s, right? Like, and that kind of goes to if you look at Dirk Pitt was writing about the kind of rising Japanese. You had, or not Dirk Pitt, the Dirk books mentioned that.
His name is Clive Cussler. Dirk Pitt is
Clive Cussler, right? Yes. Yeah, it's the character, right? I got it. And then you've got Tom Clancy, who had his Debt of Honor, which basically talked about nationalist Japanese kind of taking the. There was
first place you see flying airplanes in the buildings as a strategy, and I think some dudes who speak Arabic were like, "Huh, that's a good idea."
You can do that. Right. So anyway, there was a moment in the 90s when there was a real kind of like worry in the air about like a threat from Japan, because they were eating our lunch when it came to cars and in industrial things. Now the problem is all of the everything imploded when the housing bubble in Korea, or the property bubble in Korea. I mean, not Korea, but the Japan collapsed. And then essentially they haven't been rights ever since. So all these countries that said, oh, well, China's going to overtake America. Europe's going to overtake America. Japan's going to overtake America. Don't bet against America, right? We are always the location for the edgiest stuff when it comes to tech and when it comes to business and all this kind of stuff. So, yes, please don't worry. But Japan is definitely still in the mindset, like Joe said, of like, oh, we can't do this. And this is one of the reasons why people who wrote this book were like, you don't understand Japanese people, like. Like there is this whole idea of debt and honor and duty, giri, right, is a term in Japanese. Like this was absolutely something you had like their radicals on the right that didn't want to kind of go along with that and kowtow to the Americans. But the vast majority of people are like, no, we are very dishonored, right, by what happened, Anyway, I don't want to go too deep.
You know what else that book, Debt of Honor, exposed? The ease with which you could end communications through the destruction of undersea cables. So for those who've never read the book, at the beginning of Debt of Honor, the Japanese cut all of the internet cables leaving Guam. And then they took over Guam, and no one knew it, not even the U.S. government. So it's pretty interesting. And now we see China and Russia going around and cutting undersea cables.
You know what another story that really leaned into the kind of the potential Japanese threat was a Rising Sun was it Michael Crichton, right? And it was the movie. It was a movie with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes was in it too. So anyway, that was another one that was like, oh my God, the Japanese are like a generation ahead of us on everything.
That's a great film, by the way.
That's a great movie. Well, Kohai and Senpai, that's wherever.
That a lot like Massa. I like when dude was like, I'm a black belt. And he goes, of course you are, dear.
Yeah, Dale Brown. Dale Brown is like one of these guys. Like you can never like forget about him. He had some great, stories. And Larry Bond was another one who.
Larry Bond has some great military fiction.
Yeah, what was it? What was the book that he wrote? It was kind of like his version of Red Storm Rising. Was it Reds? Something about North Korea, an attack on South Korea.
Yeah, that was my first Larry Bond book I ever read, and it was fantastic. I don't know the name.
Vortex?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was it. I think. And I'm already inside, and yeah, that was a great book.
Larry Bond, Vortex. Let's see. Yes, the set during the final years. That's the South Africa Vortex follows the assassination of the Reformist National Party and its cabinet of African National Congress, as well as the subsequent seizure of power by far-right Afrikaners. The plot unfolds through a series of intertwining narratives. So what was his? Larry Bond books.
Red Dragon. Or Red
no, not Red Dragon.
Red Phoenix. The
Red Phoenix
novel, the North Korean invasion into South Korea.
Oh, he co-wrote Red Storm Rising with Tom Clancy. That's how I first became aware of him. But yeah, Red Phoenix, then Vortex, Cauldron, The Enemy Within, and Day of Wrath. Yeah, Dale Brown did the Flight of the Old Dog and the Flight of the Intruder, Flight of the Intruder, and then the Flight of the Old Dog, which was the modified B-52, if I remember correctly, that had like stealth stuff on it or whatever. Stealthy B-52. Talk about an oxymoron.
There's a more modern take on Red Storm Rising called Red Metal, written by Mark Greaney. Legit. A Russian armored train invades Europe into Germany. Pretty sweet.
From that era, one of my favorite books is Team Yankee, man. I mean,
hold on. I need to know more about what Juan Cholo was talking about. I need to know more.
Make Waco or War Great. Let's see.
Axis and Allies type board game. All right. I feel like we have to have a night of playing this game.
Oh my gosh. Is this a real game? Or does this just lean into your name, Juan Cholo?
Come on. I gotta find out about this.
Joe, I feel like you didn't give enough glazing to Team Yankee though. Have you read Team Yankee?
Like what?
Team Yankee, the book. Did you read that?
Yeah. Is that the one where they invade Mexico?
No, Team Yankee is the one where the Russians invade Europe, and it's told from the standpoint of an armored company team, combined arms team, mix of M1 tanks and 113. It was written pre Bradley, so they had 113s.
A rare, obscure, and humorously themed war games from 1994 by Xeno Games.
See,
I gotta find where I can buy this thing. Board Game Geek.
Oh, there was another great book from the late '80s called Red Army, which was basically the invasion of Europe from the Russian, like the standpoint of view of like Russian infantrymen.
Cool. All right, I gotta find this game. All right. Anyway, back to the show. Now that we derailed ourselves.
Executive Orders. It was a Japanese airline plane flew into the U.S. capital.
Well, Executive Orders was the very end of Dead of Honor. In Dead of Honor, he flies the plane into the building. Executive Orders is the aftermath of that. It starts with Jack Ryan being driven to the TV station to get sworn in as president.
By the way, my audiobook that I'm listening to right now, Joe, you'll be pleased with me, is Red Rabbit. I never read that book.
Oh, that's a great book. By the way, Raging Psychosis, you're never going to get me on the Tom Clancy timeline. Okay. It's at the end of Dead of Honor where the airplane flies into the Capitol and Executive Orders picks up at that exact moment. So
I think the guy who wrote Team Yankee basically was he had been a company commander, but I think he was working as an OCT, like either at NTC or someplace like that when he wrote the book. And then when it did really well, he got out of the Army and just started living his best novelist life. Yeah. How many rings do you have on your barrel? If you know, you know. Yeah. I do know. Big rings or little rings? That's the question. All right. Last story of the day here. China complains about Japanese official visiting. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Is this archive link the same one from before?
What's funny about this story is they said that it.
No, I got it.
Separatist forces, and I'm like, wait a minute, y'all are the separatists.
Right.
Never been a part of you.
China complains about Japan. Japanese official visiting Taiwan as Taipei pushed for cooperation. China has lodged a diplomatic complaint with Japan regarding the visit of a high-ranking official of Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, to Taiwan, as Chinese Foreign Ministry said on Monday, as ties between the East Asian nation strain. China is firmly opposed and has lodged solemn representations with the Japanese sides for urging Japan to reflect deeply on its mistake. Taiwanese President Li Chang-te received the LDP's executive acting Secretary General in the presidential office in Taipei on Monday and urged closer cooperation between Taipei and Tokyo to help maintain regional stability and advance a free and open Indo-Pacific. Lai said they hoped the two sides would join hands, stand united, and support each other. You know, Joe, what would be interesting is if they did basically an East Asian NATO. You know, how would they incorporate Taiwan into it? Because that would de facto make them an independent state, even though, like, you know, they're not an independent state, but, you know.
Well, we did create one, but we specifically called it the Quad. That prevented us from having to add anyone else to it.
Well, I think the idea there is that you leave out. First of all, you got India, which I don't think is going.
Yeah, that's not really an ally.
That's not really an ally. And then you left out the strongest U.S. ally in the region, which is South Korea. And with the current South Korean president, he's probably just fine not taking India's spot on the Quad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think the Quad, like adding the Philippines, I think would make sense. Vietnam would declare neutrality. I think they wouldn't, because I think it would go, a major shooting war would go bad for Vietnam. Now, in the past, it is not, but let's be honest, there is a mass kicks ass kind of scenario if the PLA got mobilized in a full-on Third World War context. If you didn't know, our sometimes contributor here on CFC, Blaine Pardo, wrote several of these books.
He did?
Yeah.
Twilight 2000. I was big on Twilight 2000. I've ran a couple of sweet campaigns.
Bro.
But I did.
Do you remember
that there were U.S. Marines attached to the U.S. Army 5th Infantry Division because I could not play anything but a Marine. So,
Joe, I mean, the way you handle that is you do the SDF stuff. You know the CENTCOM, because there was that CENTCOM book that basically made it like, listen, in the world of Twilight 2000, you really wanted to be a U.S. soldier in the CENTCOM AOR during that war.
There's actually, there's a whole campaign on that. I haven't actually gotten to that. I got all the materials for it. That would be cool.
Yeah, like when they actually attack Bandar Abbas, and they do, if I remember correctly, the Marines do an amphibious landing in Bandar Abbas and seize the port. And let's see. Lee said he hoped the two sides. Okay, I've already said
Don't
that.
act like you're not a dice rolling nerd too. Be prepared.
Here's the thing. Maybe for our fun show that we do, because based on, I now have a 5-day holiday. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Congrats! No, that's pretty nice.
Man, you get a freedom dividend and a 5-day holiday suspended on.
I mean, allegedly, right? Some active duty members are getting a freedom dividend. That is true. And here's the thing, right? People are kind of saying, "Oh, $1,800 is nothing already." Let me tell you what: an E1, E2, E3, E4 with a family, that is fucking almost life-changing money. Now that being said, it's more like
when he spends it at the strip club.
Well, that's I was getting ready to say. It's life-changing money for the wife who finally decides this is her opportunity to get a divorce. and take half. So I mean, no. Let's be honest. $1,800 to a young soldier who's making what $3,800 a month, maybe. That is a fucking huge financial. Yeah, for candy in the Sarge parlor.
That's what I was laughing about.
What is an E4's take-home pay these days? I don't know, honestly. All right. Anyway, the bottom line here that I wanted to get to was basically he urged democracies to stand together so not to be picked off one by one. Right. And so what you're seeing essentially is Japan is leaning into much closer linkages with its allies in the region, i.e. Korea, Philippines, and Taipei or Taiwan. And so, and of course, the U.S. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. All right, gentlemen, that's it for the official things. Let's look how much a private gets paid. Let's see. Oh, by the way, it's tax-free.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, 2025 pay chart. Let me share this just so you guys can become. We can embiggen this, and you can become embiggened in your understanding of how little. All right, so you've got a E1 with so a new private. Right, he's at his first duty station. He just graduated basic training earlier in 2025. He's only getting paid $2,108.10 per month. That's his base pay. Now that doesn't include any other allowances, like for instance BAS, which would be like if he's got the barracks. He doesn't get any BAH, and if he's got the DFAC, then he doesn't get any BAS.
Hey, gents, I gotta get going.
All right, we'll see you, Watcher. Thanks.
See you.
So this is basically doubling the pay for that month of that private. Now, that being said, like if you're at E1, it doesn't you don't get any bumps in pay. Now you're also that is your base pay, not your take home pay, because your take home pay you're going to have withholdings and things like that. But the good news is if you're only making like what $24, $25, $2,600, $26,000 a year, you're going to get most of that back. Any of your taxes that are withheld, you're going to get that back as a refund. Then it bumps up at E2. Let's assume like year 2, you're in later in year 2, you're so that's 2,300. You go up to 2,480 at E3. Let's say year 2, you're a specialist. You get 2,892. E5 so you make E5 on a good timeline. You're at say 3 years in. You get 3,358. So I mean, you could live okay on that. I mean, if you're living in the barracks and if you're eating the DFAC, you're definitely buying a lot of PlayStation games and whatnot with that kind of money. And then as it progresses, like up to E7. So E7 with 10 years in, you're looking at 5,100 take home per. That's base pay. Now, by the time you're E7, you're probably living off post. So you're also getting BAH for wherever it is. Poor Watcher tapped out from boredom. No, he actually has obligations. Cervix.
Yeah, if you're an E4 or under and unmarried, you should be living on base and eating in the DFAC and just banking money.
Yeah, 100%, right? Yeah, granted, you're not paying rent. Yeah, and you're probably also eating at the DFAC. So basically free food if you swipe your ID card at the DFAC. Let's see. Now, on the other hand, if you're an officer starting out as a lieutenant, you're at 39.98 your first year.
By the way, I have a deer to clean and two to process. So,
well, I mean, All right, that's all I got. Hey, thanks, Joe. Chat, you guys were awesome. If you haven't done it already, please like, subscribe, do all the things. Share everybody's stuff out there, whether it's Joe's, whether it's Brush Beaters. I don't say this enough. Please share the link to Brush Beaters stuff, because I know you guys are all going over there and checking out and window shopping. So feel free to share some of that awesome stuff out there. I appreciate you guys being here. As of right now, everything is on track for the rest of this week for us to do the show at normal times, but we may throw in some additional stuff, and we also I can read the tea leaves, Joe. I may have to cancel on Wednesday. I'll let you guys know Tuesday night what's what, and so we'll put it out there on X if I can't make it. If you guys want to continue on, you guys would be more than willing to do that, but I may have to end up going to Seoul that night. So yeah,
family
Christmas shopping. Yeah, Christmas shopping. Since I'm not working that day,
always the best day to do it.
Well, it's a little different in Korea. The shopping is a little more. They don't get all of the federal holidays the way we do, right? So Christmas is a holiday in
I know. I've been informed that we need to go to the grocery store on Tuesday, and I'm dreading it because I planned on not leaving the building all week. So.
Well, you're like, what are you talking about? I just caught lunch. It's right here.
Yeah,
I'm cutting it open and cleaning it.
Yeah, she doesn't do that. She's not a fan of all that, but yeah, for those who were taking the hunting, last night was the last day of the season. As it was getting dark, this buck came walking along, and I was like, all right, I guess it's time. So we took that.
You're going in my belly.
Yeah. And Yogi and I are going to skin it today and get it processed. So
not exactly the same as they do in Japan, but the KFC is definitely a thing here in South Korea. I'll be honest with you. I think KFC is better in South Korea because it's got all the Korean fried chicken to compete against. So. All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Thank you so much. By the way, I did miss one. Hunch the Dirty Roofer had a $2 super chat over on Rumble that I missed earlier. I wanted to make sure I get it. For $2, he says, so my question now is, who is more incompetent, Bolt-on Bondi, Cross-Eyed Cash, or Sleepy Joe? Incompetence, it's fucking Joe. Is way more
incompetent, 100%. Biggest disappointment, Cash Patel. And Bondi, let's be honest, Bondi is doing exactly what I thought she was going to do. Right.
And she's kind of like an old school conservative. She's good on 60%, right? But the problem is the critical 40%, she's fucking ass on, and actually it makes the 60% seem like like it's not even, like she's not even doing anything. Lost Core for $10 just comes in at the wire. Merry Christmas, guys! Merry Christmas to you guys. And if I don't see you on Wednesday, Merry Christmas, and I will see you after. Hopefully, though, fingers crossed, I'll be back in time. So,
all right, guys, all right.
I'll be back. We'll be back later this week, same time. As always, stay safe.